We have an incredible show tonight. You don't want to miss a minute. Welcome to Hannity. This is a Fox News alert. Federal prosecutors have now filed terrorism charges against Saifullah Saipov. And also tonight, authorities are revealing disturbing new details about the radical Islamic attack in New York City, now killing 8, injuring at least 12 others. Now, this jihadist carried out his savage rampage, all in the name of ISIS, and authorities say he followed the terror group's instructions almost to a T. Now, the president is now demanding tougher immigration laws, more extreme vetting, and is considering sending this, quote, animal terrorist to Guantanamo Bay. We have been warning more ISIS-style attacks would happen if we did nothing. Sadly, this is exactly what is now playing out. We have a message for the left in this country, especially in politics. Stop the politics. Enough with the political correctness. Protect the American people. Now, tonight on this program, we will explain exactly how these liberal policies have now resulted in a less safe America. You'll also hear tonight exclusively from a former NYPD lieutenant. He actually surveilled individuals at the specific mosque in Paterson, New Jersey, that this terrorist attended. We have all of that and so much more in tonight's Breaking News opening monologue. All right, tonight, sadly, brand new information about the jihadist that attacked New York City by using a rented pickup truck, mowing down innocent people on a bike path. Now, authorities are now revealing new details about this ISIS-inspired attack. Let's take a look.
It appears that Mr. Saipov had been planning this for a number of weeks. He did this in the name of ISIS, and along with the other items recovered at the scene, was some notes that further indicate that. He appears to have followed almost exactly to a T the instructions that ISIS has put out in its social media channels before, with instructions to their followers on how to carry out such an attack.
I told you I suspected that last night. Again, it's true. Catherine Herridge, our own Catherine Herridge, reporting the suspect did not show any remorse during an interrogation with authorities. And another report says the terrorist is now boasting and is said to be, quote, proud of this attack. Also tonight, there are reports that the mosque this terrorist attended in Paterson, New Jersey, was previously under surveillance by the New York Police Department in the mid-2000s. This is beyond disturbing, but unfortunately, it is not surprising. We have seen these types of attacks take place time and time again. Why? Because people on the left, Democrats, liberals, gutless politicians, refuse to take the necessary actions from stopping this from happening in the first place. We'll have more on that in a second. But first, the president is responding to this terror attack, and he's calling for tougher measures to keep the American people safe. Isn't that what's most important? Including ending the diversity visa lottery program that this radical Islamist he used to enter the country. Take a look at this.
My administration is coordinating closely between federal and local officials to investigate the attack and to further investigate this animal who did the attacking. I'm going to ask Congress to immediately initiate work to get rid of this program. Diversity lottery. Diversity lottery sounds nice. It's not nice. It's not good. This man that came in, or whatever you want to call him, brought in with him other people. And he was the point of contact, the primary point of contact for, and this is preliminarily, 23 people that came in or potentially came in with him. And that's not acceptable. So we want to get rid of chain migration. I would certainly consider that. Send him to Gitmo. I would certainly consider that. Look, it's very simple. What we are demanding is merit-based immigration. We want people that are going to help our country. We want people that are going to keep our country safe.
Diversity, visa lottery, and then he brought in 23 others. We knew nothing about him. Now, the White House is also saying that they can treat this jihadist as an enemy combatant. I agree with this. Watch this.
Does the president believe this suspect should be classified as an enemy combatant? I believe we would consider this person to be an enemy combatant, yes.
Also, the president rightly blasted the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on Twitter. He wrote, quote, "The terrorists came into our country through what is called the Diversity Visa Lottery Program, a Chuck Schumer beauty. I want merit-based," meaning merit-based immigration. The president is right. The Diversity Visa Lottery Program, well, that was Chuck Schumer's stupid idea, and the Department of Homeland Security has confirmed that the radical Islamists, in fact, used that program to enter our country in 2010. And as you just heard the president say, this terrorist was the point of contact for 23 more people that have or may have come into this country. Now, Senator Chuck Schumer, this was back in 1990 when he was a congressman. He introduced a bill creating this diversity visa lottery to allow immigrants to flow into the country. Now, Schumer's proposal eventually became part of a larger immigration package that was passed into law. And back in 2013, Chuck Schumer was bragging about what he did. Now, here's how Radio Liberty quoted him. "I was the author of the diversity visa program, so I care about it," Schumer said. That's after 9/11/01. Excuse me, is there any chance the terrorists could get into this country if Schumer didn't author that bill? Let me be clear. The odds are so much greater now because of the program. We would be a safer country if it weren't for this program. Maybe those people would be alive today. In 2006, we have a Government Accountability Office report that actually warned about terrorists and other bad actors exploiting this visa program. Congratulations, Chuck Schumer. Your brilliant idea to be more inclusive. It may have contributed to Americans losing their lives and being injured in New York City yesterday. And I have a question for the liberal senator. Where are your tears now, Chuck? This is something you should actually be crying about. Dead and injured New Yorkers. You're a New York senator. Now, regardless of whatever talking points this liberal echo chamber in America is going to be spewing about all of this, there is nothing that says America has to take in anybody from any country. Foreigners have no right to come here. It is a privilege. And President Trump and Congress are well within their constitutional authority to restrict access of whoever they see fit to come into the country. Look, there's no way to ascertain what is in the hearts and mind of people who want to enter this country. Do they want to bring us harm or not bring us harm? Do they bring, say, if they grow up in a country that persecutes women and Christians and Jews and kill gays and lesbians, are they bringing those cultural mores with them? Now, that's why the president is now calling for a common sense approach. We need now badly extreme vetting, especially from these countries with these deplorable human rights records. Abuse of women, gays, lesbians, Christians, Jews. It's horrible. We need extreme vetting from societies and cultures that conflict with our constitutional freedoms and values. The bottom line, we need to know for sure who is coming into this country, and if we're not 100% sure, sorry, American safety comes first. Now, you wouldn't welcome somebody into your house, would you? Let them eat dinner with your family if you knew nothing about them? I don't think you would. So why shouldn't the same standard apply to our country? Now, the current system the Democrats are trying to defend is beyond stupid. They're not protecting the American people. It's reckless, and it's creating a very clear and present danger for you, the American people. And you have people like Chuck Schumer. They need to answer this question. Is immigrant diversity really more important than the safety of the American people? Because at the end of the day, it's that simple. Do they care more about letting people into this country who could cause us harm, or is their first job and responsibility to protect the American people? Now, the answer should be obvious, but for many on the left, it is not. Now, take, for example, the surveillance of the mosque that we know literally in this country. There are them out there that give rise to radical ideas and beliefs. It's happening inside this country. Now, we just told you that the mosque that this terrorist attended was monitored by the FBI in the early 2000s. But guess what? In comes Comrade Mayor de Blasio of New York City. He shut the program down. And de Blasio actually praised the decision of himself, saying, quote, "This reform is a critical step forward in easing tensions between the police and the communities they serve so that our cops, our citizens, can help one another go after the real bad guys." Now, here's a news flash for the mayor of New York City. Keeping that surveillance program intact may have prevented a terror attack like yesterday from ever happening. But de Blasio, he doesn't care about that. He's more concerned with being politically correct because God forbid we hurt the terrorists' feelings. God forbid we risk offending people, finding them, those that want to kill us and destroy us. The mayor's pathetic. Chuck Schumer's pathetic. They're both clueless. Now, he, along with Governor Cuomo, another clueless one in New York, are also shamelessly politicizing this attack. They're going after President Trump. They were asked about gun control by the liberal media during a press conference earlier today. Pretty unbelievable. Watch this.
We support very thorough vetting, not of groups of people just because they belong to a group. I think this is a very crucial distinction. There should be very, very careful vetting of anyone where there's an indication of a concern, but not because of their religion or not because of their country of origin. There's a much bigger conversation we could have about gun safety. The NYPD has always rigorously believed that we need to keep guns out of this city and that gun safety laws are here to protect us and protect our officers.
The president's tweets, I think, were not helpful. I don't think they were factual. I think they tended to point fingers and politicize the situation. As far as the gun laws, I am increasingly proud that New York State passed some of the smartest gun laws in the country. The SAFE Act, I think it is madness, the number of assault weapons that we have in this country. I think it endangers law enforcement. I think it costs us untold numbers of deaths. And I hope one day we'll have a federal policy that actually brings sanity to the gun policy laws in this country.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't they both have armed guards constantly, 24/7, around the clock? Oh, they're protected with guns. Amazing. By the way, this just in, and this is breaking. Prosecutors now say that the terrorist suspect asked to hang an ISIS flag in his hospital room. Number two, prosecutors say the terrorist suspect said he felt good about killing innocent people. So you look at people like the mayor of New York, the governor of New York, massive hypocrites. They are accusing President Trump of politicizing the tragedy, which is exactly what they just did earlier today. And here's the other thing. What does gun control have to do with this? The jihadist used a pickup truck. He didn't have real guns, and we know that even the strictest gun law wouldn't have stopped a terrorist. Now, just take a look at what happened in Paris in 2015. Remember, Paris has some of the toughest gun laws in the world, and it didn't matter. Jihadists still slaughtered over 125 people. So de Blasio, Cuomo, they don't know what they're talking about. They're completely wrong about what it's going to take to keep the American people safe. Again, they've got armed guards. And as a result of their liberal policies, of reminding the governor, reminding the mayor, they all want to be so inclusive, accepting of refugees, unvetted immigrants, about their comments about conservatives in New York. Remember Governor Cuomo? Because I had governors from all over the country inviting me to live in their states, which, by the way, don't have a 10% state income tax, after you said this about anybody that's on the other side politically than you. Let's remind people.
Their problem is not me and the Democrats. Their problem is themselves. Who are they? Are they these extreme conservatives who are right to life, pro-assault weapon, anti-gay? Is that who they are? Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York. Because that's not who New Yorkers are.
Well, wait a minute. I'm pro-life. I believe in the Second Amendment. It's clear what our founders and framers want. And Governor Cuomo, I'm the one that's saying that maybe if you come from a country that kills people for who they are, being gay and lesbian, they're being thrown off buildings, and people then they grow up with those values. They want to come here to America. It tells you all you need to know about Governor Cuomo. By the way, he thinks he's going to be president one day. Here's the bottom line tonight. America's safety is at stake tonight. These policies pushed by the likes of Schumer and Cuomo and de Blasio, they are putting all of us in harm's way. here to react to all of this. Former Deputy Assistant to the President, Sebastian Gorka. Also, former Senior Intelligence Officer, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, former NYPD counterterrorism lieutenant, who actually surveilled individuals who attended the mosque in Paterson, New Jersey, where this gentleman attended. This was in the early 2000s. Bill McGorty is with us. Let me start. So you're at the New York City, as a lieutenant, you're the New York City Counterterrorism Task Force, right?
Intelligence.
Intelligence, okay.
Yes.
How many years were you with that department?
Approximately 14 years.
Okay, and as part of that, the commissioner at the time was Ray Kelly, if I recall.
Yes.
And Ray Kelly said, okay, we've got to follow leads wherever they take us about radicalism so we don't have another 9/11, right? Mm-hmm. That took you to, evidence took you to this mosque where this guy had attended at this point, right?
What happened after 9/11, Sean, we didn't know what we had in front of us in New York City. So we started to get sources and to run investigations. And what we realized was these people that were in New York City that we knew were bad people.
You weren't profiling people because they're Muslim.
Absolutely not. The intelligence game is simple. You develop human intel, they report back to you, and you're able to figure out who the bad guys are.
Oh, yeah, and so you surveilled a specific mosque.
Yes.
Was there radicalism going on
Absolutely, there? Absolutely. People from New York led us to this place into New Jersey, and what we realized that was going on, not only in this mosque in Paterson, but in Jersey City, all up and down the East Coast. There's certain things that are being said, meetings that are taking place, things I can't go into, obviously, because there's still investigations.
But you would define it as radical Islamic thought.
Absolutely.
Was it also plotting and planning radical Islamic terror?
Absolutely. Not only thought, but hatred. Hatred to America, hatred to our way of life, the way we think, what we do. Absolute hatred.
How many people do you think in the course of this surveillance program that the NYPD had, which I thought was a smart idea, it's like stop and frisk, a smart idea, we're saving lives. How many people would you say individually you knew were radicalized by your surveillance of this particular mosque?
From this particular mosque, I would say it would have to be at least over 20 people.
Wow, in one mosque?
In one mosque.
And how many in other places?
Now, that's not to say they're going to go out and to do something.
But they're talking about it.
But they're talking about it, and their thoughts are not as the same as our thought process. They don't love this country. They don't like the way we are. They think it should be changed.
If it's 20 in that mosque, how many can you think, estimate off the top of your head, in all of your surveillance?
In all, it would have to be over 1,000. Over 1,000.
Over 1,000?
Yes.
In the New York metropolitan area?
Well, you have to understand, and if I could just backtrack, not only I worked the whole East Coast. Because of Ray Kelly. We were put into place to go outside of New York City.
Wherever there might be chatter of terror.
Yes,
and you would investigate, and you found it.
And we found it, yes.
And then all of a sudden de Blasio becomes mayor, ends that surveillance program.
Ends some of the surveillance programs, and handcuffs.
Stopped and handcuffed. You can't do your job.
Exactly. And when you put, you put police officers in a position, whether you give them a lot of resources or little resources, they're going to do their job. But they've been basically handcuffed in a place where it's very difficult for them to get their job done.
Dr. Gorka, let me bring you in. So de Blasio ends the surveillance program. They had found over 1,000 people they believe are radicalized. They're now free to do whatever they want. Nobody's checking into them. Schumer authored the diversity visa program. People can come in, no vetting, bring 23 more people with them. We know nothing about them. This is spectacularly stupid and dangerous to the American people.
Yes, it's a matter of life and death, Sean. And it's not just about de Blasio. It's not just about Cuomo. It's about the Obama administration. I want to remind your viewers, in case they haven't heard it before, in 2011, under pressure from CARE, the so-called Muslim civil rights organization that does not represent Muslims in America, the White House bowed to their pressure and told the FBI, this is an unclassified memo from the White House, they wrote to the then Attorney General Eric Holder and to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the most senior military officer in the Pentagon, and said, from this day forward, there are certain words and phrases that you are not allowed to use when you are training our agents and our military in counterterrorism. And that included jihad. That included discussion of Islam. So you're going into battle trying to understand the enemy, and you're not being allowed to use the words that they use to describe themselves. This is the insanity of the last 8 years, Sean.
Lieutenant Colonel Shaffer, let me get your reaction to all this.
Sean, look, everything that's been said here tonight, the leadership in New York are aware of. The mayor, the governor, and surely Chuck Schumer. All the intel the lieutenant is talking about was available to them. They've been briefed on it. What makes it far worse is that these people are not only negligent, they are purposely setting up, as I said this morning, a purposeful push to make us like Europe, to make us as vulnerable. The lieutenant talked about these unassimilated enclaves, which are like open pits of gasoline waiting for a flame. You saw the terrorists finally take that and light that flame. That's what we have to deal with. And I was mortified last night, Sean, to hear Governor Cuomo lie to the people of New York and to America. He knew at that point in time that this guy was not a quote-unquote lone wolf. The lone wolf methodology is completely false.
This was a known wolf.
This was
they
a
knew
known
the
wolf.
FBI
This is a
had
method.
interviewed him in 2015.
This is a vector. Absolutely. This is a vector. This is a known vector. And as disclosed today, look, I heard last night that the NYPD had notes that were released later. You know, Sean, they knew last night that this guy was part of a larger network. They are lying to the American people. They are lying constantly.
These policies...
And it cannot be continued.
Have
It's
put
Russian
Americans at
roulette,
risk.
Sean.
If we would use common sense, people would be alive today.
Yes.
That is, you agree with that?
Up and down the
I agree with
line.
that. You agree with that, Dr. Gorka? Because I agree with that.
How many cases have we seen where an individual ends up killing people after months of planning, and the intelligence community, the FBI, was warned about them, investigated
about it,
them,
and social media.
Precisely.
and somebody shut it down.
Hang on there, we
Somebody in
gotta take a break.
headquarters shut it down.
All right, I have a huge announcement tonight coming up. Really good news, in spite of all of this, sadly. Also, we will investigate the investigators tonight in a powerful monologue, facts you won't hear anywhere else. We have more analysis throughout the entire hour. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll expose some of the media's most despicable, shameful coverage of this terror attack in New York City. It'll blow your mind. But by the way, if you want to join us, go to Twitter, my page, @Sean Hannity. And do you think the jihadists who carried out this attack should be sent to Gitmo, something we'll be debating later? Straight ahead. And welcome back to Hannity. Now, following the New York City terrorist attack, some predictably and sadly in the mainstream media, they're just having a hard time understanding the mindset behind these actions. Now, shortly after the horrific incident, you have liberal fake news, CNN's fake Jake Tapper. Well, he described the phrase shouted by the terrorist, Allahu Akbar. Well, he said that sometimes can be something said in beautiful circumstances. Let's play it.
The FBI is taking over this case because it appears now that this is terrorism.
The Arabic chant, Allah Akbar, God is great, sometimes said under the most beautiful of circumstances, and too often we hear of it being said in moments like this.
Oh, and they had a lower third on CNN, and it actually said, oh, the terrorist was, well, not terrorist, oh, the suspect was saying God is great in Arabic. Well, that's actually called Allahu Akbar. Now, Tapper has since been levying multiple attacks on the Fox News channel, reporting the comments in context that you just listened to. He tweeted, quote, Fox News is lying. I said, it can be said at beautiful moments, wedding, birth, and too often at times like this, horrific terrorist attacks. Then he went on, quote, and yes, I know they do this all the time. Still, literally, the day after this horrific attack, they would launch this smear. It's sick. Hey, Jake, maybe that's why you have low ratings. Tell your audience the truth. And meanwhile, Mr. Thrill Up His Leg, Chris Matthews over at Conspiracy TV, MSNBC, he asks why the suspect might have anger towards us and the U.S. Watch this.
As an Uzbeki, why would he have an animus toward the United States? Do we have it has anything to do with geopolitics over in the former Soviet Union, like those Chechens who created the horror at the Boston Marathon?
Way too soon to answer that question. A good question. You know, he was earning a living here in the United States, earning a living as a truck driver, seems to have been integrated into society.
Really, Chris? Really? This is a worldwide, global, radical jihadist war that they're fighting and have been fighting for a very long time. Do you remember 9/11, 2001? Wake up. Joining us now, we continue with the former Deputy Assistant to the President, Sebastian Gorka, and American First Action spokesman, Senior Advisor, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark. Sheriff Clark, it is rather mind-numbing. Oh, the chyron that says, oh, he said God is great in Arabic. We all know what Allahu Akbar, the context in which this was used in this case, like it has been used so many other times in the past. It infuriates me that the media in this country, they no longer care about truth and facts. And over there, fake news, and over there, conspiracy theory TV, all they care about is Donald Trump and destroying the president. That's it. There's no truth anymore that they tell their audience. They're all a bunch of sheep that report the same lies. But that's my feeling. What's yours?
Well, first of all, it's shameful conduct on the part of CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, Washington Post, Huffington Post. They've become terrorist sympathizers. But what happened yesterday is what will happen when you try to play social engineering, conduct social engineering experiments with national security. Look, this diversity lottery, when I first heard that, I said Powerball's run as a more effective lottery than this thing is. You know, this attempt at diversity, you just cannot do this with national security or domestic security. Culture, this attempt at multiculturalism has been a disaster. Cultures do not blend, they clash.
Let me go to Sebastian. You know, Sebastian, when you were at the White House, I'd watch you do interviews, and you were once on the fake news, Clinton News Network, and you actually said the Cartoon Network gets higher ratings than you guys do. There's a reason. And by the way, I'm not. There's a reason that nobody wants to watch them. People no longer trust CNN. They don't trust conspiracy theory TV, MSNBC. Isn't that the real reason?
I'm still trying to struggle with what kind of mind goes on live television as 7 bodies are on the streets of Manhattan and a child, and then talks about the beautiful phrase Allahu Akbar. Where does that motivation come from for Jake Tapper? The desperation of trying to explain they did this because of animus to America or our foreign policy. I've got a news flash for Matthews, for Jake Tapper, for the former president of the United States. You know why what happened yesterday happened? Because they hate who we are and what we stand for. We are the pinnacle of Judeo-Christian civilization. We believe in the dignity of the individual. We believe in liberty and democracy. That's why they are coming here to kill us. President Obama yesterday tweeted after the attack that an attack had happened in Manhattan. It wasn't an attack, Mr. Obama. It was a jihadi terrorist attack.
Yeah, last word, Sheriff Clark. It's interesting. After all that has happened around the world, still people don't want to use vetting. They still don't want to secure the border. And I'm thinking these policies now are endangering good, innocent Americans. These people that were mowed down yesterday, riding their bicycles, taking a walk on a beautiful autumn, fall day. It's just ridiculous to me.
Oh, no doubt about it. But there's some good news here. President Donald Trump is the only elected official in the Beltway in Washington, D.C. who gets it. I heard his press conference this afternoon. It was brilliant. It was spot on. Not only has he identified the enemy and identified what the problem is, and he did it during his entire campaign. I think it's one of the big reasons he got elected, but he's also going to do something about it. I was glad to hear that he's going to suspend this crazy diversity lottery program until Congress can get their act. And Congress has been a problem too. Both parties, they refuse to tackle immigration to make this country safe. But, you know, like I said, we got a commander-in-chief now who's going to do everything within his power to keep us safe.
I love when the president, these are soulless animals. If you can mow down innocent people and slaughter them, you're evil. This is evil in our time. Let's wake up. For all the rest of you in the media, wake up. Thank you both. Appreciate it. We have so much more to come. I have a good news announcement coming up later in the program tonight. We also, you don't want to miss a special Hannity investigation into Robert Mueller and the corruption. We'll investigate the investigators. Also, you don't want to miss that, and you won't hear this anywhere else as we continue a powerful debate next.
Mr. President, do you want the assailant from New York sent to Gitmo? Do you, Mr. President?
I would certainly consider that, yes.
Are you considering that now, sir?
I would certainly consider that.
Are you?
Send him to Gitmo. I would certainly consider that, yes.
He would consider that. The president earlier today, when asked if he would send this terrorist who killed 8 and injured more in New York City to Gitmo. Joining us now with reaction, Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera, Fox News legal analyst, Greg Jarrett, the author of a brand new book just out today, Fatwa, Hunted in America. Pam Geller is with us. I assume Geraldo and Pam are going to be fighting, so I'll start with Greg before the fight begins. Legally, look, this is a global war on terror.
Yeah.
If you send them to Gitmo, they don't have the same rights because they're then enemy combatants. This might be the first time we disagree. We were talking before we came on the air. Why do you think maybe it's not the best idea?
If you try to send him a Gitmo, there will be a protracted legal quagmire that will last for years. It would have to be done under the 2001 use of military force authorization from Congress, which was designed for Taliban and al-Qaeda.
By the way, that authorization continues.
Right.
The war on terror
but
continues.
ISIS didn't exist back, so the lawyers will get involved. It would take 5 or 6 years. It might not be resolved. The most efficient way to prosecute this guy and sentence him to death is to let the feds do it.
Isn't it
They've
insane?
already filed charges, one of which
So he's part of
calls
the
for
war
death
on
penalty.
terror, but because of a legal technicality that ISIS didn't exist when the authorization occurred, you're saying lawyers will tie this up in the courts?
Absolutely. Look, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has been there for 14 years. He has yet to be brought to justice. They've only obtained 7 convictions at Gitmo, 4 of which were overturned. You know,
Obama opened the gates and sent him free.
Of course, but almost all of the terrorists who have been charged in the United States have been convicted. Hundreds of them.
We did get the Courier, which led to bin Laden, thanks to, waterboarding of only 3 people. Only 3 people ever got waterboarded, and he was one of them.
Right.
And that's how we got the Courier. All right, Geraldo Rivera, you and Pam last night passionately disagreeing, enemy combatant, not enemy combatant. We can argue that, but the more important question to me is you have a mayor of New York that ends a surveillance program. I just interviewed a detective that for years was surveilling, including that particular mosque, saying he knew 20 radical thoughts, people that had radical thoughts within that mosque, 1,000 nationwide. De Blasio ends the program. Schumer, I authored the diversity visa program. Okay, that's what got this guy into the country. Does this not highlight that the president's right on vetting, on building the wall, protecting the country, protecting the American people first?
If you're asking me, I think yes, maybe, I'm not sure. But if I can just comment very briefly on the Gitmo versus New York, I've been to both Guantanamo Bay and to the Metropolitan Correction Center where federal prisoners are held. Gitmo, compared to the Met, is like a spa. It's a vacation spa. When he's in solitary in Metropolitan Correction Center, he's going to
Obama
wish
built them a
that,
soccer field. I forgot all. You're right. Obama built them a soccer field.
Wait till he's in the Metropolitan Correction Center. Greg Jarrett's absolutely right in his legal analysis. It's not going to happen.
All right.
In terms of the politicizing of this, I for one believe that the President of the United States has the exact right to politicize at this moment, just as Democrats or liberals or anti-gun people had the right to politicize the Las Vegas mass murder when it happened about gun control. You with so many issues competing for center stage, the time to do it is when the iron is hot, when there's blood in the streets, you make your point. Now, I think that it is deplorable that some people are pointing to Governor Cuomo as the problem here when you have terrorism is the problem.
It is terrorism, but when you have a diversity visa program of Schumer that lets anybody in, and this guy brought 23 more people with him, we don't vet them. We don't know anything about them. People come, and this is a point I made last night, Pam. If you grow up in a culture and a society that abuses women, kills gays and lesbians, and persecutes Christians and Jews, we need to know if you're bringing those sick mores and values with you.
It's nonsense what Geraldo said. First of all, they politicized it by bringing in guns. He didn't use guns. He used a truck.
Yep.
And I'm not surprised that Geraldo would side with terrorists. I don't know if you're aware of it, but in the wake of the attack on me, the assassination attempt on me in Garland, the very next day, Geraldo said on Fox and Friends that every time I see her on television, I want to take a shower. So yes, he hates me more than the terrorists. So I can't take too much of what he says seriously.
I got to stand up for
That's not true, Pam. That's absolutely untrue.
Well,
I don't hate you more than I hate the terrorists. I just think you're a very unhelpful commentator.
Yeah, well, because I won't align myself with the jihad force. The fact of the matter is
because you don't listen to reason, and you're a radical. That's why.
Well, that's what you call that's rational is what you call unreasonable. It's understandable because you can't think critically. The idea
you make these things about yourself rather than about the safety of the American people.
You made it about me when you said that you wanted to take a shower every time you saw me on television. You made it about me, and I want to point that out to the viewers out there that you would say
and
that.
What relevance does that have? What relevance does that have to this discussion with 8 people dead in the streets? You're making this about
15 seconds, and we'll give her all
the
the time.
relevance is that you attacked me after they tried to kill me. And what I wanted to say to you is we have to declare war on the jihadic doctrine. We have to.
We have declared war.
I'm talking.
All right.
We have to declare war on the jihadic doctrine. And
I got to be fair. I got to get Geraldo will give you 20 seconds. I would just add a time in the segment. I would keep this all night. This is a 1-hour special. Go ahead, Geraldo.
Here's my final thought for my segment. Esta noche todo de nosotros somos argentinos. Tonight we are all Argentinians. 5 of the 8 on their 30th class reunion came to New York on a holiday. 5 of the 8 from Argentina were slain. Tonight our hearts go out to them.
Let me thank you both. We'll have you all back. Greg, I told you, they're going to go at us.
I already took a shower. I'm good.
All right, when we come back. All right, shocking things you won't hear anywhere else about the special counsel. We investigate the investigators, and some good news coming up, an announcement straight ahead. All right, welcome back to Hannity. Now, as we told you earlier this week, there's a major crisis in this country. Equal justice under the law, and everything that we hold sacred as a country is now under flagrant assault by an overreaching, highly unethical group of investigators, those led by the special counsel, Robert Mueller. Now, tonight, we will do what the mainstream media will never do because they're ideological in every sense of the word. You want the truth. We will investigate the investigators and tonight expose their corruption and their massive conflicts of interest. Now, we'll have all of that and more in this very important monologue. All right, tonight, since we are the complete opposite of the Destroy Trump media, and since we really care about truth, at the end of the day, don't you deserve the truth? We're going to tell you something you will not hear about anywhere else. That is the massive conflicts of interest coming from the special counsel, Robert Mueller and his team. This is beyond shocking. It is beyond disturbing. Now, the special counsel's investigation has become a partisan witch hunt that is now rotten to the core. This is the type of thing, frankly, sadly, you'd expect in a banana republic. Not in the United States of America, and here's why. Now, just take a look at the side of your screen. Now, these are the political donations that key members of Mueller's team have made to Democrats over the years, including, look at that, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And when you add it all up, it's over $50,000. Now, you'd have to be stupid to think that investigators donated all of that money to people like Clinton and Obama, but they're going to be fair and unbiased in their investigation against Donald Trump and a Republican. Just imagine if the tables were turned and it was a Republican donors investigating Democrats. The left, the media in this country, they would be apoplectic, and they'd be calling for the special counsel to be shut down immediately. Isn't this the height of hypocrisy? Now, let's start with the special counsel, Robert Mueller himself. A lot of people have been saying sterling record, above reproach. Sadly, that's a lie. Mueller has glaring conflicts of interest. For example, as we've been telling you on this program, back in 2009, when he was the FBI director, the FBI uncovered a Russian bribery plot involving, let's see, money laundering and kickbacks and extortion and racketeering. Mueller was the head of the FBI. The FBI knew in 2009. They had an inside informant. They had tapes. They had documents. They had emails. And yet, as far as we know, Mueller did nothing to stop Vladimir Putin and the Russians from trying to corner 20% of America's uranium market, the foundational material to make nuclear weapons. That's scary. That would mean Mueller would be complicit in that huge, massive scandal. And we will have a big breaking news story tomorrow for you on that issue. And by the way, that includes Barack Obama and also other key administration officials. And we know Bill and Hillary Clinton are up to their eyeballs in this. You can't ignore the fact that also Mueller is best buddies with the disgraced former FBI director, James Comey, who, by the way, in the end could end up being a key witness in this investigation. Now, according to Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett, that could be a violation of 2 federal laws. Now, it's also a massive conflict of interest. And we can't forget that the day before Mueller was named special counsel, oh, yeah, he actually interviewed with President Trump. He wanted his FBI director job back. Now, because of that alone, Mueller should never have been appointed to lead this investigation because he didn't get the job. Then there's this guy, Andrew Weissmann. Pay close attention to his name. He is now Mueller's top investigator, at least one of them, in the Russian probe. Now, remember, he's the Obama-loving federal prosecutor. Oh, let's see, he donated over $4,000 to the former president and the DNC. Now, Weissmann also has a very deeply troubling history of using strong-arm prosecutorial tactics. Now, our colleague Greg Jarrett did some digging into Weissmann's past. Here's what he found. Back during the Enron accounting scandal, Weissmann was a hard-charging prosecutor on the task force that brought a controversial obstruction of justice case against the accounting firm. It was called Arthur Andersen, that eventually put the company out of business, cost tens of thousands of people their jobs. Now, what Weissmann did was so egregious that in 2005, imagine this, the Supreme Court of the United States, how often do we hear of unanimous decisions? Well, they overturned Weissmann's conviction, a 9-0 unanimous ruling. But Weissmann's troubling behavior doesn't even end there. His criminalization of a business transaction between Enron and Merrill Lynch, well, that sent people to jail. That was overturned by the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, critics have accused Weissmann of using intimidating tactics, intimidating witnesses, creating crimes that don't exist, and in one case in particular, actually withholding evidence that would have helped a defendant. Really? And just like Mueller and so many other Obama officials, Weissmann is also tied to the corrupt Uranium One deal and the ensuing cover-up. We'll have a lot of news tomorrow. Pay attention. Weissmann ran the DOJ's fraud section during the Russian bribery scheme, and Greg Jarrett actually picked this up. All kudos to him, that his name, Weissmann's name, and his signature are actually on the bottom of the plea agreement signed by the Russian businessman involved in that case. Now, another name and signature on that document is now the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, another conflict. Remember, he's the one who appointed Robert Mueller as special counsel. Rosenstein seems also complicit in this Uranium One scandal because back then he helped oversee the investigation as a U.S. attorney. All of the key players involved in this are actually an embarrassment to the justice system. All of them have major conflicts. All of them, Mueller, Weissmann, Rosenstein, they should have recused themselves. How could they be capable of investigating themselves? This entire Russia investigation was supposed to be about so-called Russian collusion. But so far, no evidence. Zero, zip, nada. And here's something the media will never tell you because they are so corrupt. Now, if it was anyone else besides Mueller, Weissmann, Rosenstein, and the rest of this corrupt cast of characters, they'd all be investigating the Clintons and the Clinton campaign and the DNC and, frankly, Obama. Except they can't because they're all compromised in investigating the Uranium One deal and other things. Now, because we now have incontrovertible evidence of all this wrongdoing. Now, here's why they will do nothing. Now, these people are all part of the D.C. judicial swamp. Notice that they're in one investigation one year, the next one the next year, the year after. Real investigations into the Clintons would expose all of them and their complicit behavior. We're going to have a lot more on this tomorrow night. More coming up. All right, welcome back to Hannity. As many of you know, the movie now that I am the executive producer of, it opened last weekend. It's called Let There Be Light. Thanks to all of you, a huge opening weekend in spite of no studio backing. This is all an independent film. Now, this weekend, we will be adding at least 300 more theaters, at least 300 more, and we're still staying in the 373 we had, so we may be over 700. You made that happen, so many more people will be able to see the movie. To find out the location in your area, Hannity.com, my website, Hannity.com. And by the way, here's what a few moviegoers have said about the film. Take a look. It's touched their hearts.
It's not what I expected. It was even better.
I thought it was really moving.
Very inspiring and very cohesively put together.
What I loved the most about this movie was the strength of this woman in the movie.
They're sending a great message into the world. They're doing a great service for all of us.
Here's a tip. If you go, you'll never figure out the ending, and bring tissues. Hannity.com for theater locations this weekend. Also, you don't want to miss tomorrow night. We'll have massive, huge breaking news. By the way, President Obama, TikTok, you may want to watch. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left this evening. Thank you for being